everyone, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we are back in my kitchen, but we are not cooking and we're kind of doing a grocery haul with a couple of extra tips and tricks thrown in. So the basis of this vlog actually came about from me watching a really fantastic vlog by Jordan Page from Fun Cheap or Free. I will put that link down in the description because I'm not going to be able to do it justice in the slightest compared to how she can. So please go and watch her, subscribe to her, she is amazing. So I thought that I would just, I guess, put a bit of an Aussie shift on some of her ideas. And also she is a mum of 8, but I think they're all under 10. I think they're 10 and under, whereas I've got 3 teenagers, so it's a different dynamic. So I thought that it would be interesting to cover that. Now, I have to say though, Jordan Page goes on, spending $100 per person in the household per month. When I first heard that, I freaked out because I thought I'm spending way over that. But then when I actually transferred it to Australian dollars, because she's obviously talking US dollars, I think it's about $142 or $146. So when I did it like that, I'm pretty much okay as far as that budget goes. And I think that's pretty good, seeing I have a 18-year-old son who literally eats me out of house and home. So I've had to come up with some really ingenious ways of bulking up dishes so that I can still make the same amount of meat per meal, make a meal even though he's having twice as much as everybody else and then wants leftovers and all that sort of thing. So, okay, so my first tip for when your groceries are coming is to have your fridge and pantry cleaned and organized so that it's all good to go, because there is nothing worse than putting nice new groceries into a yucky fridge or a yucky pantry. I actually have been using the Woolies home delivery the last few times. It's just easy, it's not any dearer, so really, why wouldn't you? One of the tips that Jordan talks about, which I think is a great tip, but it's just not something that my personality is affected by, but she says about, if you shop weekly or fortnightly or whatever you do, like maybe it's monthly and you shop at Costco, don't go to the shop at other times, because you can go in for one thing, like say it's milk, and come out with a lot more. So 2 points to that. I think that comes down to your personality. I go to the shops quite often. It's just an 8-minute walk for me to the shops. I don't drive, so I have to be close to the shops. And I will go down for maybe we want a fresh avocado or whatever it is that we want at that time. But I seem to be very good at just getting the thing that I've gone for. I don't tend to end up with the trolleys of extras, but I think that's a personality thing. And the second point to that is the home delivery also helps with that. Home delivery is great in 2 ways. One, your subtotal is going up and you're watching it go up as you're adding your grocery items in. So you're able to stick to your budget really well, whereas unless you actually want to take a calculator with you or add it up, which I have been known to do at the grocery store. But if you don't want to do that, you don't really know definitely what your total is going to be when you get there, and you can have blown your budget out altogether. So that's the a good reason why to do home delivery. But home delivery is also good for those extra things. I mean, of course you want to keep an eye on how much delivery is. Like, I don't pay delivery because of the amount that I spend on my fortnightly shop. But if like, say you need fresh produce, or we are lucky enough to well, I don't know if it's lucky enough, it is now, it is in this respect, but we don't have dairy in our house. Doing non-dairy makes it so easy to stock up on milk. So here in my groceries today, I have bought 16 litres of rice milk, and that will probably get us through the fortnight. It might not, but it probably will. And milk is one of those things that takes you to the shops through the fortnight or through the week or whatever, because if you're getting dairy milk, you obviously can't buy for the whole time. It just doesn't work. So, okay, one of the other things that Jordan talks about in this most recent video is that you can save half on your grocery bill. Now, I don't know if it's actually going to be half, whether it's going to be a bit less than half, a bit more than half, whatever. I think it all depends on the specials that are on that week. But how you can do that is things like specials. Like, for example, today, the butter chicken curry paste that I like to use for my butter chicken, it was half price. So instead of just buying the 2 that I normally do in a fortnight, I bought 4, because obviously I'm going to save money, you know, on next fortnights. So it all works into the budget. And, you know, basically the same thing. Like, Woolies is great in the fact that it keeps your lists, and then it'll tell you what on your list, what on your normal list is actually on special this week. So it's so perfect to be able to just stock up on the things you're going to buy anyway. So, I mean, of course you have to be self-disciplined with it, you know, because you can't blow out your budget just because things are on special, but you have to factor in the fact that you're going to spend less next fortnight because you bought these things at a cheaper price now. So it's all things like that. Keeping up on the specials, and online, as I said, is such an easy way to do that, as opposed to walking up and down the aisles and seeing the special tickets. But that's just what works for me. Okay, one thing that I've always done, and people have always been very surprised about it, is I don't do it so much now the kids are bigger, but when the kids were smaller, I would, for school lunches, I would make at the beginning of a term, so basically 10 weeks of school, I would make literally hundreds of sandwiches. You know, whether it was just, you know, I started off with just Vegemite and jam and peanut butter and things like that, although nut butter is difficult being able to take that to school, but other spreads, because I thought, well, that's all I can do. I can't do anything fancier than that if they're going to go in the freezer. But then I started trialing doing ham and cheese and all that sort of stuff, and that works just as well, you know, when defrosted as well. So I would literally fill my chest freezer with sandwiches. I would just, you know, make them, cut them in half vertically, I guess, so that you had these so I had like this, a freezer full of these little rectangular frozen sandwiches, and it was so great in the morning because they would just get their muesli bar, get their, you know, biscuits, get their drink bottle, go to the deep freeze and get their sandwiches, and maybe I might have had muffins in there or whatever. It just made it so, and still to this day, we still do it this way. And then I just buy the I think these are $1.50 loaves. I would literally buy like 20 of these at the beginning of the term, and just literally turn them all into sandwiches, and yeah, worked out perfectly. So there you go. There is my hot tip for school lunches. Another tip is separating the bananas. Jordan was talking about this in her video, and at first I thought she was mainly talking about the fact that it keeps better, and that is true. They do keep better if you separate them. But she made the really good point that if you've got small kids and they're, you know, going up and getting a banana and they're the ones that are separating, like, they're bruising every single banana in the bunch while they do it. So I'd never thought about that before, but that just makes so much sense. So there you go, separate your bananas, makes them last better, and if you've got little ones, they're not going to end up squished. So, okay, another great tip which I had never thought about before but makes complete logical sense is to store your, you know, your things like sour cream and yogurt and that sort of stuff. Store them upside down instead of right way up, which is probably a hard thing to do, you know, in your head sort of thing, but it does make complete sense that it forms a vacuum seal when you do that, when you push in you're like forcing the product to be at the lid, and that will extend the life of your cottage cheese and yogurt and other things like that. Okay, chopping up your own vegetables. I am guilty of buying the chopped up mushrooms, I will admit that. It's just so much easier, like when you're making a dish and you can just pour it in. So glorious. But anyway, it is true. We all know that it costs more to buy something prepared, and not to mention that they probably put some sort of spray on it to make it look good and keep good and not brown and all that sort of stuff. So cut our own vegetables. Okay, another one for our fresh produce, and my niece actually told me about this a few weeks ago, so I'd already been doing it. which was so fun about Jordan's video, because I was able to sit there and like, oh, I do that, I do that, I do that, I do that. So yeah, it was like a bit of affirmation for Fee. There we go. But yeah, I like the paper towel one because my niece had actually been here cleaning my fridge out a few weeks ago, and she had said line the bottom of your crisper drawers with paper towel, and she did that day, and I kid you not, my vegetables probably lasted twice as long, the ones that were sitting on that paper towel. So I can definitely vouch for this. But yeah, Jordan was talking about in her video that you can do it, and I suppose I should have known this because I do put a piece of paper towel in my bag of fresh spinach leaves, and that really helps. So I guess it does make complete sense that it would work with other things as well. But yeah, she was talking about how, like, you know, your lettuce leaves, you know, well, rocket, we call it rocket, they call it arugula. But yeah, all of your fresh things like that tend to get soggy, because basically all fresh produce is, you know, putting out liquid all the time, and once it's sitting in its own liquid, that's just gross. But on that point, if your spinach leaves, your rocket, any of that stuff goes bad or starts to go bad, has got like there's liquid in there and it's gone a bit soggy or whatever, there's two things you can do with it to not waste it. You can, if you're going to use it in a smoothie, if you're going to put spinach in a smoothie, who cares if it is now a bit wilty and moist and whatever. So use it for that. I will, even if like half a bag of spinach has sort of gone like that, it's all wilty, I will actually throw the whole bag in the freezer. Just fold it in half, put it in the freezer, and then once it's frozen, I'll come back and literally just squeeze the bag, and you will turn it into finely shredded spinach, which is absolutely amazing to put in any dish. And also that point about veggies having gone a bit far, that doesn't just apply to, you know, leafy fresh produce. You know, if your capsicum's gone a bit average, if your zucchinis have gone a bit bendy, you know, that is not going to matter if you're making a stew or a curry or, you know, anything like that. The only time when you want your vegetables to be, you know, crisp and, you know, beautiful looking or whatever is like something like a stir fry, or if you're having it like basically, you know, plain on the plate, if you're making like a, you know, just having a capsicum, zucchini, you know, those sorts of things. You want them to look nice because you're cooking them and then having them on the plate, eating them as they are. But if you're putting them in a stew, or if you're using them in the pressure cooker where they're just going to turn to mush anyway, you know, use your old stuff. But don't forget, zucchini, just a hot tip that I just thought of just then, zucchinis are amazing in smoothies. There is so much nutrition in a zucchini, and if you put it in a smoothie, you do not even know it's there. It is amazing. So yeah, if your zucchinis go bad, chop them up a bit, put them in the freezer. Same thing with your berries, that sort of thing. Like if you buy a punnet of strawberries or blueberries and they go a bit, you know, bad, past the point where you're happy to just eat them out of the punnet, you know, throw them in the freezer because they are amazing in smoothies. Okay, I think everybody would know this anyway, but don't leave your fresh produce in the plastic bags that they come in. I actually, because when I home deliver, I have noticed actually that they don't always use bags, which is really good that they're not using those plastic bags. But if I actually go to the store and I remember to take them, I have my Norwex fresh produce bags to use, and that's that's so much better than using, you know, a plastic bag for every single thing you have. And also, does everybody know that avocado lets out a chemical that makes other fresh produce go off quicker? Does everybody know that? So we all know to keep our avocado away from other things, but did you also know that avocado helps if you, like, it actually happens to me all the time. It's, you know, you want a fresh banana, you want bananas to be able to you know, make a smoothie or whatever you want to use it for, but you get to the shops and they've got nothing but green bananas. They'll be fine in, you know, at the end of tomorrow or in a couple of days, but you want one now. So anyway, if you have green bananas and you put them in your fruit basket and you put an avocado next to it, you know, by the end of that day or even sooner, you are going to have beautiful ripe bananas. So while avocado can be a negative thing with your produce, you can also use it for its benefits as well. So yeah, try that. Okay, also to touch on something that that Jordan Page talks about a lot, shelf cooking. Shelf cooking is fantastic anyway. At whatever point in the fortnight, I do it quite often just because our family just happens to like the meals that I make when using shelf cooking. But it is also the way that you make it through the fortnight when perhaps you've run out of stuff. One of the best ways to do this is because, sometimes I do happen to go through all our meat. So when I mean meat, I'm talking about beef mince or chicken or turkey or sausages, bacon, that sort of thing. If I have gone through all of that, and it would be very silly for me to go through all of that and end up with not, meat from the freezer towards the end of the fortnight. But that's why I buy tins of tuna. And if I'm clever and I make sure I plan my fortnight properly, I will throw a couple of tuna dishes in throughout the fortnight, and that's how I make I do not buy 14 days worth of fresh meat. I just don't. It helps with the budget, and it also makes for an easier meal a couple of times a fortnight because tuna doesn't need to be cooked, it can just be added to stuff. Things like tuna are such a great way to make a meal when you don't have to use an amount of fresh meat that has cost you more, because a big can of tuna is only $3, so even if you double the recipe, that's only $6. If you were making a double recipe with fresh meat, you're definitely around the sort of $12 to $15, if not more. With chicken thigh, it'd be like $19. So just a really great way to, one, help with the budget, and two, just stretch out what you can achieve with your fortnightly amount of food. Of course, if your family doesn't like tuna, that's not going to help, but just see how you go. Another tip is have a vegetarian night every fortnight. There's nothing wrong with a dinner each fortnight that doesn't involve meat. It helps with the budget, and it's certainly not going to kill you. The reason that I love Jordan and I plug her to other people so much is because you can see the fruits of her labor. You can see that the sacrifices that they made and putting the structures in place financially that they have, they now live in a really lovely big house. They've fully done it up. I think they're actually selling that and to buy move to a bigger house because they've got 8 children. But and they have a holiday house. They go on holidays. They do fun family things and all that sort of thing. And they're the benefits that you reap when you make the sacrifices in other areas. And I just personally think that they're what is worth the money. I would rather sacrifice, if it's even a sacrifice 2 meat meals a week. If it means that it's going to give me $20 to put in a kitty to save up for taking the kids to a fun park or taking them on a holiday or whatever. I know we think that $20 it's nothing, but if you put $20 in every week or every fortnight, by the end of the year you come to Christmas or whatever, you've got quite a bit of money there. Compare it to the Bible verse, you'll know them by their fruits. That's kind of like with Jordan Page, because you can see that she succeeded in, she's not rattling off all these things and telling people to do all these things without showing that they actually work. You can actually see in her life that they work. Go and follow her because you will learn lots from her, and you will really, basically it's feeling empowered to be able to, take a hold of your family budget and make really good decisions with it. And those good decisions end up in giving you extra family time together, which is, that's the gold of life, the fun times with our family, not whether we ate 14 meat meals a fortnight or whatever. So yeah, anyway, go and check her out. Fun, cheap or free. She also does a budget boot camp, and I'm not covering anything very well at all, but she does lots of things. So please go and check her out, and you won't regret it. So yeah, I hope you have liked this, guys. If you haven't already, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and send me a comment, and I will see you next time.